starting your journey today, you will look back in a year and be able to say, man, that was horrible. That was terrible. Because along the way, you will improve. Along the way, you will learn. In fact, one of the best parts of coaching, of live video coaching, one of the best parts of content creator coaching is going through and doing the review. I often encourage people to get the first one done so that we can get to the review. You cannot iterate, you cannot innovate, you cannot improve until you've done some review. And so for the person that's sitting there saying, I'm paralyzed by analysis. I just don't know how to, here's a quick and easy one. Your topic, I don't really know what to talk about. Go live. Engage.
Welcome to Just One Question with your host, Lion Flood. This podcast is brought to you by The Minority Report, where our goal is to inspire, educate, and empower you with cultural knowledge. We'll also have conversations dealing with social justice, mental health, and the all-around truth. So if you're bold enough to hear the truth, then you're listening to the right podcast. Let's find out what that one question is with your host, Lion Flood.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is I, your host, Lion Flood. I appreciate it. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. I want you all to give a big, warm welcome for our guest, Kirk Nugent. Please give him a round of applause. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, man, I am doing well. I'm excited to be here. This is great.
I love it. So I usually always ask my guests to start off by introducing themselves because we all can read a bio, we can read what work you've done, but I love for people to hear the voice, to hear someone else explaining what they do, what brought them to this point. So take a few seconds and just let the audience know who you are.
Yeah, as has been shared, I am Kirk Nugent. I am a live video coach. I love live streaming. I believe wholeheartedly and firmly that your live stream, your live video is your digital storefront, because there's no greater way for people to experience your greatness than for them to see you do it live. There's something magical that happens live. There's something unscripted, unplanned, that sparkle of genius only happens while live. And when people see it, it doesn't matter if you're a business, you're a brand, you're an author, coach, consultant. When people see you do that thing live, they're like, I don't need the taste test. I don't need the campaign reel. I don't need the ads. I want to book this person. I want to have that genius working on my behalf immediately. And so one of the things I love to do is help people recognize and harness the power that is live video. So that's one part of what I do currently. But another piece I just want to share with the audience is I'm a self-professed Jesus geek, right? So I'm a believer in the Almighty, but also just a lover of all things tech and media. And so that's the cross section that I live at: technology, media, and leadership. In fact, it's on my t-shirt right now for those that can see the video. But technology, media, and leadership. And what we try to do is help people to figure out, have that light bulb moment to see the puzzle pieces fit together. And that's why we call the channel, we call the brand, How It All Works. And of course, works is spelled with the E, but that's why we do what we do, is because there is so many different pieces of the puzzle that are behind the scenes. You wonder to yourself, how in the world does that yield this, right? You got an animator that's creating content for Hollywood. You've got audio engineers that go from show to show to show, playing for some of the biggest names in the music industry. They have a secret sauce. They have a superpower. They have experiences that literally put it all together. And we as consumers literally sit and get a chance to enjoy the fruit of their labor. So what I try to show people is how it all works.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And especially like the play on words, like there you were speaking about the works, WERKS.
That's right.
It means a lot. And so a little backstory for the listeners of why I'm really excited about this. Okay. So for years, and it just dawned on me, maybe within the last month, I was in a sort of a conference with Ecamm, and I was watching it leap into Ecamm, which is a system that I'm using. Shout out to Ecamm.
Shout out.
Everything that I simply love it. And I was following you and your work for a while now, and I did not notice this until something dawned on me. You said something within that conference, and I was like, "Wait, I've seen this gentleman before. I've seen." And I started going back in my notes and looking at old videos. I was like, "Oh, that's him!" Right? So for everyone that's listening, I am so excited about that because just like Kirk was just saying, the being live is your brand, right? People
Yeah.
connect with you in your face and your smile and your voice
Yes.
versus, and
Yes.
I noticed that fear. So where can you touch at for someone right there who's sitting maybe in their vehicle right now, probably thinking, I want put out content. I want to go live, but I'm afraid if I mess up or anything. Any small steps you can kind of guide them to
Yeah.
starting that process?
Absolutely. Let me just start by saying one of the major things that people always tell me is like, "Oh, Kirk, I'm really not a camera person. I really don't know. Me being on camera, I'm not a talker." Oh, this is the best part. I love when people say to me, "I'm not a talker. I'm not a talker. I don't. I clam up. I get a little stuck whenever the camera turns on. I don't know what it is. I just can't necessarily perform like that, but." This entire conversation that I'm having with people, and maybe you are people, maybe this story is yours. This entire conversation that I'm having, they're having it with me while using words, right? They're having it with me while talking. The cheat code for the live is figuring out what allows you to get into a space of comfortability, a space where you can just be your authentic self. Whenever I get a chance to work with a client who has a project, so many of them don't want to do any of this. Kirk, can't we just have the guests on there? And I'm like, just give me 10 minutes out of the hour in the show and you engage with the audience, take some questions. Invariably, I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, somebody will ask something in the comments, and that person who was telling me, "I can't do this, I'm not a live person, I don't deal well with the camera," that same person will flip and they will just go for it. They will start answering that question, and it is just something magical that happens. The key to on camera confidence, the key to feeling yourself and getting to a place of comfortability while live, it has a couple of different pieces. I will say that one of them is the gear, making sure you test everything. There's a level of confidence that comes from knowing I've done my homework, and because I've done my homework, I've tried to check all the boxes. I've tried to cover all of my bases to be able to make sure that this is a smooth experience. So you're not nervous about the gear. All right. And then now the next piece, second piece, the final piece is knowing you, doing the work. And yeah, I can't tell you how much this is critical for any aspect of your life. Doesn't matter if you want to do live content, you want to be a content creator. Doesn't matter what area you want to get into. Understanding you, that somebody put it this way, getting a PhD in you is only going to benefit you in everything that you endeavor to do, because you know what your secret sauce is. You can bring your true authentic self, the value, the undisputed gold you have to offer, and present that to your audience. Those are the keys that I would share with you.
Listen here, ladies and gentlemen. You're getting some secret sauce here, right? And the beauty of it is we're talking to someone who lives this, right? Who has
Oh
done
yeah.
this. I can
Oh
assure
yeah.
you, we're going to put all of the links, all of the information that you can follow him. We're going to tell you where you can find him. But I love when inevitably we speak with someone who's been in the grind, so to say,
Mm,
who's been in the mud, right? Who's went because we all want to get to where we see people are at, but we don't always want to put the work in to get there,
right.
right? I
Right.
remember
Right.
hearing Kevin Hart one time saying, "Yeah, it took me, for an example, 18 years to get my overnight success." you know, People don't see the
18
work I
years.
did before. Now they're just like, "Oh, you just popped up," and I love that, especially when you were talking about the content creation. I usually
Mm,
say to myself sometimes because I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, "Should I put this out? Should I do this?" And then there's a moment where I just say, "Just press record."
yeah.
Whatever comes out, right? So where
Yeah.
do you fit in that because I think some people, what is the saying? They analysis by paralysis, right?
Oh
They
yeah, yeah, yeah,
overthink
yeah.
something so much they talk themselves out of it. Where do you fit in that? What are your thoughts on that?
I think anything that is, of course, worth doing is worth doing well, right? That's one rule of thumb. I also believe that every person who is operating at peak performance, whether you're in finances, whether you're in the stock market, whether you're a professional athlete, whether you're a marriage counselor, whether you're a dietitian, whether you are a dancer, whether you're a content creator, every person that is operating at peak performance watches film. Think about that. Every single person that is operating at peak performance reviews what they did yesterday so they can get just a step better today, never accepting yesterday's standard for success for today. That incremental, improvement is what happens when we say, okay, today I'm just going to do this. You don't have, a lot of people will see a lion and I on camera right now. You will hear the podcast and you'll say, I want to start where they are. It's not possible. It's not possible. Everybody who has ever started has the horrible series to point back to. And I can guarantee you, if you're starting your journey today, you will look back in a year and be able to say, man, that was horrible. That was terrible. Because along the way, you will improve. Along the way, you will learn. In fact, one of the best parts of coaching, of live video coaching, one of the best parts of content creator coaching is going through and doing the review. I often encourage people to get the first one done so that we can get to the review. You cannot iterate, you cannot innovate, you cannot improve until you've done some review. And so for the person that's sitting there saying, I'm paralyzed by analysis. I just don't know how to. Here's a quick and easy one. Your topic, I don't really know what to talk about. Go live, engage, see what happens. When it's done, watch the film, make notes, do it again. When it's done, watch the film, make more notes, iterate, innovate, improve. Guaranteed, as you continue moving your feet forward on that journey, you will reach your ultimate goal.
It is so empowering to hear these kind of things, right? Because I'm sitting back as you're speaking on this and I'm like, yeah, that was my journey. I know my wife and I, we initially started in 2019 and we kind of call it the pandemic podcaster syndrome, right? We
Yeah.
have anything else to do. So we
Many,
bought a
many
mic.
people. Yeah.
Yes. And we didn't know what we were doing, but we were so in love with how it made us feel because we found it was therapeutic for us. It was, in essence, a relationship podcast of and things we were doing to work through the pandemic. And we found that we were, by talking to others, we were talking to each other, we were talking to
Right.
ourselves
Right.
without directly speaking to each other. Oh, I didn't know you felt that way about this subject. And it helped us grow stronger. And it all started by that. And so we took a break for a while when things got really hectic and we recently started back up. And I remember us sitting down, we had two mics that we just bought, very inexpensive ones, and we would hear echoes and we didn't understand that they were condenser mics. And so we were like, what
You
is this?
learn,
But
you learn. Yeah.
right, we researched and we learned. And so there are people out there who think, well, I can't think of content every day or whatnot. And it's like you said, just talk about yourself. People, well, I'm boring. No, there's someone out there. There's a niche out there. There's someone out there who has a podcast or who has a YouTube channel about how to drill holes properly in a wall.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it has thousands of views because somebody is starting their DIY journey. The one of the things I like to walk people through a line is there is the idea or concept that most of the time your subject area does not come from your wins. They don't come from your superpower. They don't come from your mountaintops. They actually come from your valleys. They come from your abject failures. They come from those broken places, even addictions. Some of my clients who have been vulnerable enough to share, like, this is where I am in the journey, they are blowing up. Why?
Wow.
Because people do not follow me. People do not resonate with what's perfect.
Yeah.
They resonate with what's real. They gravitate towards what's real. And so you see us like this is to stop the scroll. You see this on your screen and you say, oh, what are they doing? But the content that we share is what will engage you. That's what will hook you. That's what will cause you to hit the subscribe button, or to follow the podcast, or to find Lion's channels and his support pages, and follow him, and consume his content. Why? Because something in there resonated with you, and it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect. It was real. It spoke to your lived experience because it was from his or her lived experiences. That is what people resonate with. So if you struggle with OCD like I do, talk about things you do to help you deal with and cope with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. If you are like a good friend of mine, and coaching client, they're in the dietary space. They've lost, I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of over 200 pounds. And so they've walked people through this journey, and it's been a yo-yo. It's been a roller coaster ride for them as well. People don't resonate with the before and after picture. I want you to know that people resonate with the fact that I lost 100, but I gained 50. Man, that sucks. That's the part you want to share. And what are you going to do? Like, what is the motivator for you to get up tomorrow and say, I'm going to lose the 50 that I just put back on? That is your content. It's your superpower. It is your cheat code. These are things that you can talk about ad nauseum. What I mean by that is you can talk about them, to no end. Why? Because it is your lived experience. You don't have to make it up. You don't have to put it into notes. Somebody asks you a question and you just go for it. If we can just get over the idea that I'm in front of a camera and speak to people as people need to be spoken to, we would be able to share the gold and the value that's in our stories.
Listen, I don't even have my AC on right now, and I got some chills, right? So we got the people's poet dropping the knowledge, and I absolutely love it because this is one of the things that we've been really working on, my wife and I, and especially me, because I have said, you know what, I'm doing this podcast for 1 year straight, focus driven, right? And I mean by that
Mm,
more like diving into it. Before it was just something we wanted to do, and now it became a passion because my voice got to be uplifted. I had someone wrote me recently and just said, "Hey, I love the positive energy you were bringing," and I was like, "Man, that
that's
re-energized
good.
me, right?" And it was something you said recently also in one of the conferences we said, and I heard it and it just resonated with me so much when you said, what would you speak about, or something to that effect, if no one was listening? Would you speak about
Yeah.
X subject if no one was listening? And
Yeah.
I said, okay, that helped me so much because when I
Yeah.
initially started this podcast journey, it was broad, and I started narrowing and niching it down. And for me, I
Mm,
was like, if it's anything that can help someone out there, where there's a million people listening, if it helps one person,
that's it.
I primarily love working to uplift minority and underrepresented voices. I don't care who
Mhm.
brings the information. That's what I want because I remember being a 16, 18-year-old kid not knowing where to go because I didn't know the
Yeah.
world offered me so much more out there. And I love the energy that you bring with it. And so,
Oh man, that's good.
where can you say if there's a listener out there right now that's sitting in a vehicle, sitting
Mm,
about to walk into work or something, and they're listening to this episode and they're hearing your words and they're like, I love this energy. What is something that you could say to that person right now to say, hey, you, like you said, they want to start a podcast, they want to get on
mhm,
live, they just
mhm.
don't know where to start. How can they kind of start that journey and put that one foot in front, like you were saying?
This is so. Let me tack this from two different ways, and I love the question. I'm going to tack it from two different ways, and the first way is I want you to know that with your mobile phone, you have everything you need to be able to start. You, so that I want to start by saying the technical aspects should not and cannot be a limiting factor to you getting started. Here is the real hurdle. The real hurdle is, what are you going to speak about? Who are you going to speak to? Those are the real hurdles. And that's where your work begins. That's where, and the reason why both of those questions are critical is because of the underlying question behind both of them. And that is your why, your motivator. Because I've worked with clients whose motivation was, I want to have my name in lights. I want to get invited to be on Lion's show. I want to speak at Leap into Podcasting with Ecamm. I have worked with clients who that is their motivator. And I'm telling you, it's not enough. It's not a big enough. It's not a solid enough. It's not a sturdy enough foundation to build on, because there are going to be bad days. There are going to be days where you are not going to get the followers and not going to get the accolades. You you have to want to share this content because you just want to share this content. And so who you're speaking to and what are you saying to them comes into play, because you're the reason why you're speaking to that particular person and sharing with them this particular piece of value has to be an internal motivation. And for some people, that is, I was abused and I want to talk to people about avoiding abuse. For some people, that is, I am a recovering alcoholic and I want to talk to either recovering alcoholics, or I want to talk to those who have never touched it and help them avoid the pitfalls. Maybe it is, I have helped myself find purpose and I want to walk others through finding purpose. And that is specific for, young men who are of color, from a specific age group. All of those things play into your authenticity, your value proposition. And most of those answers can be found in your stories. This is why I said what I said earlier: getting a PhD in you, understanding your story. Like most people, when I ask them, how did you get here today? And they're like, what do you mean, how did I get here today? I clicked the link and I joined the Zoom meeting, and then and I'm talking to you. No, 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 no. Okay, so you joined the Zoom meeting. Why did you click the link? How did you get on my calendar? Oh, I saw you at such and such. Okay, you saw me at Leap into Podcasting. Then why were you there? I was there because I'm trying to, you see my point now? We're walking backward, helping us to understand motivators, helping us to understand our own stories. And when we understand our own story, when we understand what value we have to offer, we can make it very clear in terms of what it is we want to answer, the question we want to answer, the value we want to provide, and who we can best answer that question for. Your lived experience gives you credibility for both. So if you're sitting out there right now and you're saying to yourself, I hear what he's saying, I don't know if that's me, then by all means, just like I said to Lion, grab 15 minutes off of my calendar. We'll put those in the show notes. Grab 15 minutes. Let's chop it up. Let's chat. Let's figure out how it all works, but let's figure out what we can do that will enable you to get across that hurdle and get started.
Yeah, it is so true. And we're going to get ready to start wrapping this up, ladies and gentlemen. But I just want you to realize, when we hear the word coaching, right? And sometimes we think, I don't need it. We can all use it in some way. One of my
Mm,
biggest things is that I want to get rid of that stigma of thinking, hey, we can't speak as men, or we can't open up, right? It's okay to not
it
be
is
okay
okay.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Find someone.
yeah.
Podcasting, if you want, think of it as your own radio station, your own way to, like you say, to speak your truth. It's a great
Mm,
way to get your word out. And like, I love how you said that PhD in you. You've got a story to tell. It's your
yeah,
story, it's your truth. I
yeah.
look at this in my form of my me starting my journey of writing my book. So
Oh,
now
yeah.
I get to
Oh, wow.
talk
Yeah.
and use, and I get to look back at things I've spoken to and said on these, and I absolutely love it. So where for the people who want to reach out and find your links, and I know we're going to put them in the show notes, but if someone's listening right now, where can they find you? Do you have a podcast yourself that they can listen to?
Yeah.
Because I'm a firm believer in spreading the love. I don't care about the crabs in a bucket theory, right? There's
No,
enough
no,
to
no.
go around. Tell
Absolutely
people
no.
where they can find you at. What do you offer?
Yeah, it's gonna my headquarters on the web, if you will, is kirkrnugent.com. So if you go to kirkrnugent.com, you will find me. That's my main page. But my show page, right, which has my latest live show, my latest YouTube video, my latest Amazon live video, and my latest podcast. That's my show page. It's actually howitallworks.com. HOWITALLWERKS.com, howitallworks.com. And works is spelled with an E instead of an O. That's the only difference. So howitallworks.com, you get to that page, you're going to find everything there. And in fact, you will find links to that will take you over to my main website, which is kirkrnugent.com. So definitely hit me up over there. You can find on both of those pages spaces to be able to grab my link to get 15 minutes on my calendar. I would love to chat it up with you guys. I would love to hear your vision for what it is you want to start. If and I would love to play a small role in that. And I'll be honest, not everybody that books the time it becomes a client, and that's fine. That's fine. I recognize that there, different people are made up different ways, and they need different types of coaches. That's fine. But one of the things I do always encourage people to do is just grab that time. Don't sit and think, man, that's going to be good for somebody else. I hope somebody grabs that 15 minutes. No, I'm talking to you. Grab 15 minutes today. Let's chat up what your vision is, and let's see if we can make your vision a reality.
Absolutely love it. And for anyone who right there who is just sitting in their chair, sitting in their car, a vehicle, at a bus stop, wherever you are listening to this, and he just said he's talking to you, and you sat back and like, wait, me? Yes, you. Right? It's like if
Yeah,
you're in church and the pastor's talking, and you're like, wait, how did he know I went out last night? How does she know I
there
went
you
out
go.
last night? Right? They're talking to you. Grab a pen because right now is that moment where you're sitting down. In 1 year, you're going to sit back and you're going to say to yourself, man, am I in the same position? A year ago I heard this and I could have did something different
Something,
to get
yeah,
to a different place. And this will
yeah,
be the last thing I say because I know we're going to wrap it up. But there was something I
yeah.
heard, and I know I'm going to say this wrong, but I still going to say it because that's my authentic self. It was something with your why has to be stronger than your
Mm.
what. Don't let your shiny. Don't get distracted by a
This
shiny what or something over your
the
why.
shiny
Something like
shiny
that.
objects, the shiny objects. Don't get distracted by the external motivations, right? The shiny objects are the things that are outside. The the people that are pumping you up and saying, man, you did such a phenomenal job, man. The messages that you will eventually receive when you start putting content out there, those are great, but those are external. You want something that is internal, because
Mm,
external has ebbs and flows. If you're saying things that people like today, they will say back to you, you did a good job. But when you start saying things that not everybody's gonna like, and that's gonna happen if you're gonna bring your authentic self to your content, then you will start getting some of the negative. And if you are only externally motivated, those negative comments will derail you. It'll throw you right off track. I want to say this one last thing too. The analogy I shared earlier in terms of do not wait, take that 15 minutes. I want to say a huge shout out to Lion, because there were hundreds of people that attended the Ecamm conference, hundreds
mm.
of people, and even hundreds more that watched the replays. And I put my QR code up on the screen, and I said to everybody, grab 15 minutes on my calendar. Out of those hundreds of people, only 5 people grabbed 15 minutes, and Lion was one of them. 5 people. Lion was one of them, and that's why I'm on his show today. So I'm saying all that to say, look, it's really not as hard as you might make it out to be. It's really not.
Yeah.
Let's chat it up. Listen, you're already here, you're listening to this podcast, clearly you have an interest in this space. There's so much that you can do. There is a story that is in your lived experiences that no one else can tell but you. And
Wow.
there is a person out there, right, who's banging their head against a wall for an issue that you've already solved, and they're just waiting for you to be bold enough to put your content out there so that they can find you, have you help them solve their issues, and move on to the next level.
There it is. yeah, whenever something hits you so strong, you have to slow it down to be able to say, there it is, right? So I absolutely love it. And it comes true from my heart when I say this, because all I can imagine, like you said, someone's sitting there banging their head and they're thinking to themselves, I want something better. I just don't know
Yeah.
how, right? And there's
How?
someone
Yeah.
out there who can tell you how, coach you, start you on your journey. And even like you said, if they don't become clients, it's still a great feeling to know, hey, I pointed them in a
Boom.
direction and
That's
steps and
correct.
stuff like that. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate this, Kirk, so much. I'm gonna pay some of these bills and get this show towards the end. Please hold it for 1 second so I can
Oh
just
yeah.
holler at you for 1 second afterwards. Thank you so very
Absolutely.
much. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning into another episode of Just One Question. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming back and listening every week when we put these episodes out. It does my heart well. I love the content that you send back. I don't get to read every email, but I do get to read them and take my time and say, wow, that's a great point. And your subjects that you want to hear about, we go out and we try to work and get those on the show for you all. So I sincerely appreciate it. Keep asking yourself that one question, right? How can I improve? Whatever your question is, ask yourself that. Look yourself in that dirty mirror and say, what can I do to improve my situation, right? It could be something small, but just take those steps. And as I always say, remember to keep living while you are alive.
Thank you for listening to Just One Question. I know you enjoyed the show because you made it this far. If you want to hear more, subscribe, share, and don't forget to give us a 5-star review. Now, what's your one question?